In the beginning, back in 1955, or aka 1998, Pokemon Red and Blue were released on the Game Boy, and since then, Pokemon has become an icon not only in gaming, but in entertainment as a whole. While playing, however, some people, including myself, had a thought. Why are you alive? And so it came to pass, and Pokemon Nuzlocking was born. A Pokemon Nuzlocke is a run of Pokemon with, at the very least, two fundamental rules. You can only catch one Pokemon per route, and any Pokemon that faint in battle are considered dead, and can no longer be used in the run. Other optional rules exist, and for my run, I'll be doing a hardcore Nuzlocke. This means that I cannot use items from my bag in battle, I can't overlevel the ace of the next boss trainer such as gym leaders, evil team commanders, or my rival, and set mode is turned on, meaning I can't get a free switch after KOing my opponent's Pokemon. I added these rules to give myself an extra challenge, since although I've never done a Nuzlocke before, I like to think I'm pretty experienced in the world of Pokemon, so without further ado, here is my hardcore Nuzlocke attempt of Pokemon Platinum. The run began like any other ordinary playthrough of Platinum. Barry illegally trespasses on my home, and then later prompts Professor Rowan to mercilessly belittle us so bad that he feels the need to give us a Pokemon. For my starter, I chose Chimchar, since viable fire types will be much harder to come by than viable water or grass types later on in the run. I named him Platinum, and together we maul Barry's Piplup, who growled at me for 5 turns straight. After receiving Pokeballs from Lucas, I proceed to go on an absolute catching spree, nabbing Freebird the Starly on Route 201, Bucky the Bidoof on 202, and Lilac the Budew on 204. With them, I bashed in Barry's team again, and proceeded to get 2 incredible encounters. Griffin the Shinx with Intimidate on Route 203, and Webster the Psyduck in Oreburgh Gate. With them in tow, I finally had the Pokemon I needed to take on the Oreburgh City Gym comfortably. Turns out Webster could just sweep this gym on his own, no problem, so 1 gym badge down easy. Next, I catch Bubby the Shellos on Route 205, and before long, it's time to challenge Commander Mars. Commander Mars is the first of many potential run killers in Pokemon Platinum. Her Purugly is faster than nearly every Pokemon you have access to at this point in the game. It hits like a truck with Stab Scratch, and on top of all of that, has incredible bulk and a citrus berry to turn any team into a Golden Corral all-you-can-eat buffet. Like for me, I have Freebird and Griffin, both with the ability Intimidate, which lowers the opponent's attack when I switch in. So after getting off a couple of Intimidates, I paralyze it with Griffin and have Platinum finish it off, defeating Commander Mars with 0 deaths and no problem. I proceed to Eterna Forest, where I team up with Cheryl, and to thank me, she decides to kill my Buneary encounter. After a long stretch of her Chansey missing every possible egg bomb, I reach Eterna City, where I challenge Gym Leader Gardenia. With Platinum and Freebird, this gym is almost as easy as subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell to be notified for more videos. On the topic of easy fights, Commander Jupiter was an absolute cakewalk, courtesy of, again, Platinum and Freebird, who absolutely carried this run's early game. Then I run into my absolute bestie Cynthia, who gives me a Togepi egg which is rendered absolutely useless by the existence of Staravia. But I mean, I guess it's the thought that counts. On the way to Hearthome City, I stopped by Wayward Cave to get an encounter. I encountered Gible, who becomes arguably the best non-legendary Pokemon in the game upon evolving into Garchomp. But this wild Gible gave me a lot of trouble. She proceeded to Dragon Rage my entire team before I finally caught it on the last ball. I also caught Crossfire the Gligar, but she's not nearly as interesting. Next comes the battle with Fantina, which gets dicey. Griffin clears her Duskull and Haunter, but not without taking quite a bit of damage in the process. In comes Miss Magius, who leaves him on 10 HP with Shadow Ball. Now I have a hard decision to make. First, here's a quick summary of how the enemy AI works in Pokemon Platinum. If the AI sees a kill with any of the moves of his current Pokemon, he will always select that move. If he sees the kill with multiple different moves at once, he will randomly select one of those moves. In this case, Miss Magius sees the kill with Shadow Ball, Psybeam, and Magical Leaf, so she will randomly select one of those 3 moves. Unfortunately for me, I can't afford to switch into anybody, as nearly all of my team has a weakness to at least one of those moves. Every switch is a gamble. I bring in Freebird since her normal typing is immune to Shadow Ball and her flying type resists Magical Leaf. In a terrible twist of fate, Miss Magius selects Psybeam and confuses Freebird, giving me almost the worst case scenario that was possible. At this point, I have another hard decision to make. I don't want to lose Freebird this early in the run, as she'll be useful later on. In order to get a clean switch into somebody who can take down Miss Magius, someone on the team has to die. So with a heavy heart, I switch in Bucky to make the ultimate sacrifice. This, however, allowed me to switch in Platinum to finish the battle, and with that, the 3rd gym badge was mine. Still mourning the loss of Bucky, I take it out on Barry, who gets absolutely mollywopped, which made me feel a lot better. Before taking on the Veilstone Gym, I did a bit of grinding, and there's some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that Griffin got hit by a Goldine's horn drill and absolutely copped it. This death hurt way more than Bucky's, and was a brutal reminder that the run's never safe, even when grinding. The good news, though, is that Bubby evolved into a Gastrodon, and I got the Razor Fang on Route 214 to evolve Crossfire into a Gliscor, who took Bucky's old spot, and using her and Freebird, we swept through Maylene to obtain our 4th gym badge with Flying Colors. See what I did there? Flying Colors? Font type? Yeah, that's good. Before I reach Pastoria City, I wake up to the fact that I have absolutely no answers for Crasher Wake's team. His Gyarados has every coverage move needed to counter any and all of my Pokemon, so I decide to go back to the drawing board and switch up the team a bit. On Route 212, I caught Marsh the Croagunk, who has the ability Dry Skin, which heals her when she gets hit by a water type attack. So after a bit of grinding to prepare for the fight, I evolve Marsh into Toxicroak as well as Platinum into Infernape and Freebird into Staraptor. With my strategy in place, I take on Crasher Wake. Apparently the AI is really stupid, and even after my Dry Skin absorbs his water moves, he continues to go for them, so the 5th gym badge is mine, no problem. After a Galactic Grunt misinputs and sets off an explosion, I meet up with Cyrus in Celestic Town, who hits me with a hearty dose of Pokemon lore just for me to return the favor with a hearty ass whooping. I head to Fuego Ironworks to catch Duracell the Magnemite, and then, once again, mash the potatoes out of Barry's team in Canalave City. And to continue the potato mashing, Bubby waterboards Byron's entire team, earning me next month's rent in the form of my 6th gym badge. After Professor Rowan proceeds to command children to eliminate the leaders of a criminal organization, I sweep through Commander Saturn and Mars with a huge shout out to Duracell, now that it's a big strong magnet zone. Before I can smoke that Jupiter pack though, I have to defeat Candace in Snowpoint City, so I do. I was planning this whole thing where I switched to Bubby on her Frostlass to set up a rain dance, since she has the ability Snowcloak, but instead, I just mash an attack and it hits first try and 1-taps, so 7th gym badge down. And somebody better put me on the registry after this, because these kids are getting absolutely screwed. Not only do I put Saturn away in the run back, but I also smoke Cyrus, giving me a straight shot to Spear Pillar. But I'm not done yet. The US Department of Agriculture called because I'm farming Team Galactic so hard that I chased Cyrus into a whole other dimension just to whoop that ass one more time. His Gyarados poses a real threat, since my only Pokemon that can safely counter him, Duracell, gets 1-tapped by his Earthquake, so I decided to go back to the drawing board once again. In Pokémon Platinum, you can catch a guaranteed Rotom in the Old Gateau in Eterna Forest. Not only does Rotom have stab electric attacks, but it also has Levitate to dodge Earthquake. So after grinding him up and finally evolving Grub into Garchomp, I'm able to defeat Cyrus in the Distortion World with little issue. My bestie Cynthia casually thanks me for saving the world, as you do, and now I'm able to go to Sunny Shore to obtain my 8th and final gym badge. But before doing that, I decide to finally max out my team. I head to Iron Island to get the Shiny Stone for Lilac, and she finally evolves into Roserade, and then proceeds to get mean-looked by a wild Golbat and dies in the encounter. An unlucky exchange for sure, but my misfortune doesn't end there. When battling a trainer's Gastrodon, Freebird got caught in Fly while Gastrodon set up Rain Dance, and next turn it hit me with a crit Muddy Water in the rain, killing Freebird one shot. This sequence of events really took its toll, as 2 vital team members who had been with me since the beginning were now out of commission. At this moment, I took a step back and did a bit of tweaking to ensure that my team was ready for the Elite Four. Because spoiler alert, Bubby and Grub freed up Volkner. After careful planning and deliberation, the team ended up being Platinum, Bubby, Grub, Duracell, Crossfire, and Anubis, the Lucario that hatched from the egg that Riley gives you. After a few moveset tweaks and XP grinding, I was off to Victory Road, and on my way to challenge the Elite Four. Aaron gets absolutely worked by a combination of Platinum's offense and Crossfire's defense, making for a very easy start to the Elite Four. Member 1 down. Next was Bertha, who posed a real threat with her Whiscash's defensive typing and Gliscor's offensive coverage, but Bubby was able to take care of business regardless. Member 2 down. Flynn, honestly, was a really nice break. The only tough decision was over which team member I wanted to sweep with. Grub earthquakes all 5 of Flynn's Pokemon without even taking a hit. Member 3 down. Then there's Lucian, who I was most afraid of. I didn't have any members with a stab super effective move, but Anubis' Shadow Ball plus some pivoting into Grub allowed me to slip by. Member 4 down. And with that, there stood only one more challenge. Champion Cynthia's team is commonly known as one of the hardest, if not the hardest fight in all of Pokemon, and it's all thanks to this guy. With a deep breath, I began the battle. Bubby came out to handle Spiritomb, as no other Pokemon I had would have tanked its hits as well as he did. Roserade then came in, which I had Platinum take care of without issue. Duracell came in on Melodic, but lost the majority of its health to a Surf. With no avenue to get a kill safely, I swapped in Anubis to finish Melodic off, but instead of surfing again, Cynthia brought in her fabled Garchomp. Luckily, I had planned for a situation like this. If Garchomp ever came in, I would bait an Earthquake with Platinum, Duracell, or Anubis, and I would get a free pivot into Crossfire, since her flying type would be immune to it. Then she would use Ice Fang, which I taught her from the move relearner not long ago. Not only did she hit the Ice Fang, but she got a freeze, allowing Crossfire to solo Garchomp without taking a hit. In came Melodic again, and I miscalculated an aerial ace kill, and for that, Crossfire paid the price, copying a Surf and breathing her last. Grub came in to finish off Melodic, but Togekiss gave her some trouble. I swapped back to Bubby, who was able to recover more health than Air/Do, so it was only a matter of time before my Ice Beam finished him off. Last but not least was Lucario, which flaunted high damage and diversely typed moves. With my potential switches all on health too low to take a hit, I unfortunately had to say goodbye to Bubby, who died a martyr for the team, allowing me the pivot I needed to finish the battle.
Grub used Earthquake, and I won. Cynthia congratulates me, and I'm officially crowned as the champion of Sinnoh. It's hard not to think of the Pokemon who sacrificed themselves to make this run possible. Bucky, Griffin, Lilac, Freebird, Crossfire, Bubby. A salute to all of you for getting me here, and many thanks to you, the viewer, for watching.